Welcome back to the cryptoworld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, the largest Bitcoin whales in the world are buying more Bitcoin, while the price is exactly hitting my short-term price target. And this chart is revealing the next Bitcoin price target. But don't be fooled, because Bitcoin is potentially repeating history, while Ethereum is now retesting a critical level on the chart in the short term. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, we need to talk about the Bitcoin ETF news today, because just yesterday we saw another massive net inflow into the spot Bitcoin ETFs. Because as you can see here, and as I shared over on my Twitter, as soon as this information got released, we saw a net inflow just yesterday into the spot Bitcoin ETFs of over $500 million US. And if we're breaking this down, we saw BlackRock alone, IBIT, accumulate around $563 million worth of Bitcoin, because that's the inflow that BlackRock had just yesterday. And then we saw Fidelity, FBTC, have an inflow of over $215 million US, which means Fidelity also bought $215 million worth of Bitcoin just yesterday. And then, as always, once again, we saw Grayscale with another outflow. This time, they had actually quite a large outflow of around $494 million US flowing out of the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust just yesterday, which basically means Grayscale dumped around $494 million worth of Bitcoin just yesterday. But ultimately, that doesn't matter too much, because of course we saw more inflows than outflows. So overall, we were left with a net inflow for the day, once again at around $505.6 million US as a net inflow into the spot Bitcoin ETFs just yesterday. And so essentially what this means, in case you're new to all of this, is basically this is around $500 million of new money coming into Bitcoin and buying up Bitcoin. And also, in case you're new to all of this, we've been seeing this happening for roughly around a month or so. We've seen massive net inflows coming into the spot Bitcoin ETFs. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars worth of buying pressure each weekday. And so, of course, this is helping to pump the price of Bitcoin to the upside, which is why we've seen a lot of bullish price action in recent weeks and recent months. And honestly, unless these inflows stop coming into the Bitcoin ETFs, it's going to be very hard to see any significant pullback in the price of Bitcoin. Of course, we can see short-term pullbacks and things like that. But ultimately, we're going to be heading in the bullish direction if we're seeing over $500 million buying up Bitcoin each weekday. And of course, this was not all, as if 500 million is not already enough buying pressure, but of course, we saw MicroStrategy with another massive Bitcoin purchase. Because just over the last one day, Michael Saylor announced that MicroStrategy bought another 12,000 Bitcoin with around $800 million US over at MicroStrategy. And so basically over the weekend, we saw MicroStrategy buying around $800 million worth of Bitcoin. Just yesterday, we saw the Bitcoin ETFs buy over $500 million worth of Bitcoin. And so just over the last 2 to 3 days, we're talking about well over $1 billion flowing into Bitcoin and buying up Bitcoin in just the last few days. And so unless there's someone out there with billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin that's going to dump that on the market each and every day, of course, it's going to be hard to see any significant bearish price action with this much buying pressure flowing into Bitcoin each day. And so when we're talking about the Bitcoin charts and other Bitcoin news, just keep this in the back of your mind. Of course, right now we're seeing massive amounts of buying pressure coming into Bitcoin, which is definitely something significant to be aware of. But anyway, if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin chart, this is on the weekly Bitcoin chart, and right now we're still trading above the old all-time high, which was sitting at around 69,000, which is obviously bullish. We're entering price discovery. And as I said in my last video, especially if we confirm this breakout with at least a weekly candle close well above 69,000, then the next important Fibonacci level based on the linear settings for the Fibonacci retracement tool is the 1618 Fibonacci extension, which is sitting at around 102,000 US. So yes, you heard that right. The next major level of resistance, simply based on the Fibonacci levels, is sitting just above 100,000 US. And so in case you're wondering, from the current Bitcoin price as of recording this video to $100,000 per Bitcoin, that's roughly around a 40% pump away. Once we see another 40% gain from here, we're basically at 100K. And also keep in mind that just in the last 2 weeks, approximately around 2.5 weeks, we saw around a 40% gain just in around 2.5 weeks. So keep that in mind. We're actually not that far away from 100,000, even though it seems like a massive number. It's only a 40% move away, which is the same size move that we saw in the last 2.5 weeks. And if we're taking a look at this 3-day Bitcoin chart, of course, the USDT market cap is continuing to increase as Tether is continuing to create more and more USDT because there's more and more demand for USDT. And technically speaking and fundamentally speaking, this is bullish for Bitcoin because first of all, technically speaking, if we're looking at the chart, we can see the USDT market cap and the Bitcoin price very correlated because usually when the USDT market cap increases, so does the Bitcoin price. And fundamentally speaking, of course, if the USDT market cap is increasing, that means there's more USDT out there because each USDT is $1. And so what that means is rather than US dollars sitting in bank accounts, for example, that money is actually coming into crypto in the form of USDT. And as of right now, there's a little over $100 billion of USDT just sitting in Tether. And basically, as this number increases, that increases liquidity in crypto, which essentially means there's more stable coins in crypto sitting on exchanges or sitting in wallets, just basically ready to go, ready to buy crypto. And so, of course, if there's more stable coins in the ecosystem, that's more potential buying pressure for if we perhaps see any sort of dip to the downside that could quickly be bought up by all of this massive buying pressure, sidelined capital that's sitting in stable coins right now. And so ultimately on the larger timeframes here, of course, nothing has really changed over the last 1 day. But if we're zooming into the short term, what has changed over the last 1 day is the price of Bitcoin has got very close to this exact technical price target that I've been talking about here on the channel since all the way back down here. Because once again, over the last few days, I've been saying that we have this bullish price target just in the short term for the price of Bitcoin sitting at around 73,000. And over the last 1 day, the price of Bitcoin pretty much exactly hit 73,000. But ultimately, this price target is just above 73,000, more specifically at around 73.4K, give or take. And so technically, that is still an active price target in the short term, which means ultimately we should be heading towards that price target soon enough. And as for short-term support, just in case we saw a bit of a pullback in the short term, which is of course possible, and in that case, looking at short-term support levels, I'd be paying attention to previous resistance now acting as new support. First of all, we have some previous resistance right here sitting at around $70,000 acting as support. And below 70,000, we have a lot of support in this price range right here, in between around 67,500 to 69,000, and even more support down here in between around 65,000 to 66,000. And so right now, we do actually have a lot of short-term support levels to pay attention to, just in case we saw a bit of a pullback. And of course, once again, even though I'm extremely bullish in terms of the larger trend at play, obviously we can see short-term pullbacks here and there, so just keep that in mind. And just before talking about some other very important Bitcoin charts, first, if you actually want to trade these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, then personally, I take trades like that over on Bybit, so I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit in the description down below and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link down below this video to make a Bybit account and deposit on that account, you can get up to a $30,000 deposit bonus, but only if you use that link down below this video. And also, if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can claim an exclusive 200 USDT airdrop position. And so if you're trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out to claim this free airdrop and get that extra deposit bonus. Once again, first link down below this video. But for whatever reason, if you cannot access Bybit or if you cannot KYC on Bybit, there is also Bitflex, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need KYC for Bitflex. And so I'll also make sure to leave a link to Bitflex in the description down below and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link to make a Bitflex account, you can also get an exclusive bonus over there, but only if you use that link down below this video. And so once again, if you're trading crypto anyway, or if you're preparing to take the next trading opportunity, you might as well get set up or ready to go on one of those exchanges using those links if you want to get those extra bonuses or claim that free airdrop. But anyway, taking a look at the 8-hour Bitcoin chart, and right now the price of Bitcoin is still technically forming a possible bearish divergence pattern. Because right now the price of Bitcoin is still currently forming higher highs, while the RSI on the 8-hour time frame is still currently forming lower highs. But it's important to understand that as of right now, this possible bearish divergence on the 8-hour time frame is not yet confirmed. And even if it does confirm, it does not necessarily mean we're going to see a massive crash to the downside, because oftentimes these bearish divergences play out in the form of some slight bearish price action, basically a short-term pullback, if not a sideways consolidation. And so ultimately, if it does actually confirm, I'd expect it to play out in the form of basically a pause or a short-term break from the bullish trend before continuing the bullish trend higher later on. And if we're zooming all the way into the 30-minute time frame, right now we are potentially seeing Bitcoin history repeat. Because as we can see here on the Bitcoin chart on the 30-minute time frame, once again, we have this previous possible routing top pattern that did not play out in the bearish direction, because we actually saw a bit of a bear trap to the downside and then a quick move back to the upside. And so far right now, we're seeing very similar type of price action to what we saw back here, basically a rounding move in the price, and then the price kind of stopping and going sideways, kind of like what we saw back here. And a lot of people back there actually got trapped in that bearish price action by opening short positions and things like that. And obviously, if you opened a short position down here, you basically got liquidated on this move right here. And so once again, history is potentially repeating. Of course, nothing is 100% guaranteed, but if this continues to play out, basically continuing to play out the fractal that we're seeing right now, just in the imminent short term, then we could soon potentially see another leg to the upside, trapping some bears in a short-term bear trap. But just before we potentially see that move further back to the upside, continuing the larger bullish trend, we could end up seeing the continued formation of that bear trap pattern, especially if we're taking a look at this Bitcoin liquidation heat map, because we're also potentially repeating history in the liquidation heat map compared to what we saw back here as well at the last bear trap. Because right now we're actually building liquidity to the downside, which basically means it's quite likely we could see a quick move first to that area of liquidity, which is sitting at around 71,000 to 71.3k, basically in that price range right there, just above 71k. And then perhaps when we hit that area of liquidity, then we could start bouncing back to the upside like that. Because once again, the overall larger trend is still bullish, and we actually have some more liquidity starting to build back to the upside, but not as much as what we've got here at around 71.1 to 71.2k, give or take. And so once again, nothing is guaranteed, but just based on the liquidation heat map alone and these short-term Bitcoin charts, it is quite likely that we could end up seeing some sort of quick move slightly to the downside like that to hit a lot of that downside liquidity first, and then we could perhaps continue the larger bullish trend later on, especially when the US stock market opens up again soon enough with the Bitcoin ETFs begin trading again. Because as always, if we're seeing these massive inflows into the Bitcoin ETFs, then that can continue to pump the price of Bitcoin further to the upside. But anyway, taking a look at the Ethereum chart, this is on the weekly time frame, and right now the price of ETH is continuing the bullish breakout well above that previous area of resistance, which was sitting in between around 3.4k to 3.5k. And so basically right now the price of ETH is on its way towards the old all-time high, which is sitting at around 4.8 to 4.9k. And in case you're wondering, from the current price of ETH to that all-time high level, that's only around a 20% move away. So we're actually getting somewhat close to the old all-time high. And if we're taking a look at the daily time frame, obviously we're still trending in the bullish direction with a consistent amount of bullish momentum here in the daily Ethereum MACD. And so once again, as I've been saying for a long time now on the channel, my trading strategy when it comes to Ethereum is to simply long Ethereum. Right now, I am long Ethereum, as I've been saying publicly here on the channel since all the way back down here. And so once again, I am still in that long position, and I have no exact take profit or technical price target for that position. I'm just leaving it open and making a lot of easy profits from all of this bullish price action. And to protect myself in the worst case scenario, let's just say if we saw a crash back to the downside, I'll be completely protected in that scenario as well, because I'm slowly moving my stop loss further into profits as the trade moves further into profits. And once again, I took that trade right there over on Bybit as usual. So once again, if you want to maximize your profits in crypto and take these trades to make a lot of easy money, then make sure to check out Bybit to get those extra bonuses if you use that link down below this video. But if we're zooming into the short term, right now just on the 4-hour time frame, at least as of recording this video, the price of ETH is now retesting previous resistance, which could now be acting as new support. And so this is an important retest for the price of ETH, because if this now holds as support and we see a bounce from that level, that is bullish price structure. Anytime where we flip previous resistance into new support and create a higher low, obviously that is price structure heading in the bullish direction. And so if we actually see that happening, if we see a confirmed bounce from that area, then we're likely going to next head up towards this price target, which is sitting just above 4.3k. And in case you're wondering, this area that we ideally need to hold above in the short term is sitting in between around 3950 to 4k. And let's just say if we saw candle closes back below around 39.50, then in that case, that would technically invalidate this short-term breakout right here. And so in that case, I would expect a move down towards at least this level of support, sitting at around 38.60 approximately. And below that, we have even more short-term support right around here, sitting in between around 37.50 to 3.8k. And so once again, those are the important levels to pay attention to in the short term. And once again, if we further confirm that breakout by seeing a successful retest and bounce from this area right here, then we're likely soon going to see the price head up towards this price target, sitting close to 4.3k. And if we're taking a quick look at the price of Solana on the weekly time frame, right now Solana is also breaking out to the upside above key resistance, because this area of previous resistance, which should now act as new support, is sitting in between around $120 to $140. And so right now, the next significant level of resistance on the larger time frames for the price of Solana is the old all-time high, which is sitting at around 250 to 260. And obviously, in terms of the larger trend at play, we're still very much trending in the bullish direction for the price of Solana, along with a lot of cryptos out there forming significant higher lows and higher highs on the larger timeframes. And once again, if you want to maximize your profits in crypto by trading these short-term movements in the price of any crypto, check out those links down below this video to those exchanges if you want to get those extra bonuses. And if you want to actually know how to take those trades, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, you can profit from all of that price action by watching these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that's everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.